Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing? So once again, I'm sorry about having to ask, but is the sound coming through okay? Like, can you hear me? Can you hear the music? Les is saying, evening Alex, can hear everything fine. Excellent, that's enough for me to get cracking. So, everybody, welcome to the Tuesday live stream again. For those of you who are new, welcome. For those of you who are carrying on joining me every week, welcome back. How's everybody doing? Let's hear some love in the chat. And this is part of the start where we actually try and twiddle the music to make sure it fits everyone. So the Fomorian's saying that the music is a bit quiet for his taste. So I'll see if I can just turn it up a little bit. There we go, not too much. How's that? So is the how are the levels of the music and my voice coming across? Good evening, everybody. Oakenbron says that the volume is spot on. Lord Maiden says that you hear me fine and the music is fine. Good evening, everybody else who's joining us in the chat. So, last chance if you feel like the levels need changing at all. I mean, my dad says that everything is good, and he is the final person to have a say. So, let's get started. So, once again, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me. And tonight we are going to be doing some traditional sculpting. So, for those of you who were with me last week I was doing some stuff for Digital Workshop, which is the Patreon that I'm running, where people can get access to my ZBrush sculpts. So this week I thought it would be better to go back to the traditional models that you all are collecting for ArcWorlde. Now I have a few miniatures on my table at the moment, so I was thinking of at the start of this hangout to show you what I've got, and then you guys can let me know what you would like to watch me work on tonight. So to start off with, we have my unicorn. Now this guy seems to have been quite popular on social media since I shared the picture a few days ago. So this is just a kind of a wild version, but the reason why I sculpted it is that the unicorns are going to be the mounts for the Imperial faction. In terms of the lore, like what they've done is they're on an island quite separate to the rest of the continent where most of ArcWorlde is set. So they've managed to essentially kill off most of their dangerous magical creatures and stuff. So they've actually managed to tame unicorns, break them, and now use them as mounts. So this is more of a wild version that I thought I would sculpt as a dolly, and then when I use it as a mount for the Imperials, I would maybe like crop the mane, make it look a bit more kind of braided, and then obviously add like the tackle and the various kind of leather work involved. So we could work on this. The next model, which has been quite popular, has been the Imperial Ogre. Now he still has quite a bit to go, especially on like the back side. If you can see, there's quite a lot of detail to be added on the backpack and such. But he is the heavy for the Imperials. Now, you guys who have been into ArcWorlde for quite a while would probably have the kind of the sword and shield version from first edition, but I thought rather than sculpting the same model again, I would add something a little bit different this time. And he is armed with a volley gun, or for those of you who are into your kind of Napoleonic history, he's also called like a knock gun. So it's like a multi-barreled rifle. So he's essentially going to be like a kind of a walking artillery piece for the Imperials. And I've really enjoyed him. Like, I've really enjoyed kind of getting his face right. So I could work on him a little bit more. Another miniature. Actually, I did start this model the last time I was doing hand sculpts on the stream, but here we go. So this is the I'd say about 50% of the Rougarou for the Bay Orcs. Now this character is the heavy for the Bay Orcs, and he's essentially kind of like a voodoo werewolf. So he's not actually deployed at the start of the game. So if you are a Bay Orc player, you essentially decide which of your characters will transform into the Rougarou, which one has the curse of the Rougarou. You don't tell your opponent which character is going to transform into it, and then whenever you fancy, you can just summon it in. So if you think that you're attacking a lowly boglin, you might be quite rudely awakened. So I wanted to kind of keep this kind of voodoo style, having like the bones and like the gems and rocks and stuff on the necklace. Probably I'm going to sculpt some bands and stuff like that, but I think a lot of the flavour is going to come with the paint job. When I do paint this guy, I'm going to be doing quite a few kind of tattoos and things, which I think would look quite cool. But one of the things that I took quite a bit of inspiration from for this guy is a baboon. So I think baboons are terrifying, and they're not given enough credit in fantasy creatures, I don't think. So this kind of peeled back lip look with the teeth jutting outwards is really kind of baboon-like, and especially because he's not a werewolf. He's kind of like an orc werewolf. I wanted to make it look a little bit different. So there we go, and then finally. Now this is something not different, but a little bit more kind of familiar to you guys. So a sheep rider for the halflings. Because I know like quite a few of you've already chosen your faction, and you're going to want to stick to your faction for the foreseeable future. One of the things that I wanted to do for the next Kickstarter is sculpt some miniatures for the first 4 factions. So for the halflings, the wild elves, the beast folk, and for the undead raiders. And the sculpts that I'll be doing for the halflings will be ram riders. So I'll be keeping the mounts and the riders separate, so you can kind of swap and change them and stuff like that. I'll probably be doing 1 or maybe 2 or 3 kind of ram mounts, and then maybe a few kind of separate riders. So you can swap and change them, so it looks like you have multiple kind of copies of the miniatures. but I've been really, really happy with how these guys have turned out. I'm looking forward to cracking on with these. So, which would you like to watch me work on tonight, folks? Votes in the chat. Fomorian says that the music's good. Thank you very much. Dagfin is saying that he's been playing out in the snow today and he got a few inches. Very lucky boy. Primaton, hi guys, good to see you again, buddy. Mal, hey gang, hope you're all good. Fomorian, is it the last unicorn? Not the last one. There's quite a few in ArcWorlde, but I did really enjoy that book. Les, looking great. Look forward to a captain looking all Dick Turpin-esque. Very nice. Jacko, that's a BFG. A big fudging gun. Dad's asking, never mind the sculpts, we want Goblin. Now, Dad hasn't actually met his granddaughter just yet.
She's just done a really stinky poo.
Oh, apparently she's done a really big stinky poo. You guys seem to really like the Rougarou, which is really good. Miles says he'd like that for a wild monster hunt across the city or the wilderness. Morian, very ace and very dynamic. I'm not sure which character that's in reference to. Ram Riders, yeah. Vote Rougarou or Halfling. Rougarou or Halfling. You save the best for last. I think you're slightly biased, Dagfin. Tough choice, Rougarou I reckon though. Although I'd love to see the Ram Rider, I prefer the Rougarou first. Another vote for the Rougarou. Hi all, good to see you, David. +1 for the Bayox Wolf, please. Despite the fact that I am a Halfling fan. Well, it seems like a pretty decisive choice that you guys would like to watch me work on the Rougarou today. So even though like this side looks quite worked on, if you actually turn it around, this is where you see how I kind of bulk out the model, and I find that this is actually really useful when I do my sculpting courses. So for those of you who aren't aware, last year I started teaching my own sculpting courses. Now I've been teaching them for quite a while at Nottingham Trent, but last year I decided to kind of go off and do them on my own, and they were like, it was really, really fun. Like, I really enjoyed doing them, but obviously this year with the current situation, it might be quite difficult to do some. So I guess you guys will be able to kind of get a pretty good idea of how I make my models from these live streams. Les is asking, what is the best correct spelling of Rougarou? I think you've got it there. Like, I think it's Rougaru. Dagfin's asking if you can mount halflings on the Rougarou. I'm not too sure if you can. I'm not sure he would be best pleased about that. Lord Maiden, my halflings are now clasping their hands together, watching their new prey. Interesting. Right, so let me just mix some fresh putty for you guys. So if you folks can hear like some running about and stuff in the background, Goblin's currently having a Zoomies hour. For those of you who've got cats and stuff, you'll know that every now and then they'll just have like a mad hour where they just run about the house and cause mayhem and stuff like that. So she's going through that at the moment, so chances are you'll probably see her at some point in the stream coming to say hello. Just mixing my putty together. So we have some yellow-grey milliput here and some green stuff. For those of you who haven't watched one of my streams before, I don't sculpt with pure green stuff or pure milliput. I always mix them together. The Fomorian is asking, will you ever sculpt a model of your cat goblin for ArcWorlde, maybe for the beast folk? I actually have a plan for the future for... I won't say that I will sculpt a cat person for the beast folk. They will actually have their own faction. Now, I'm not going to say anything too much as of yet, but once the first 12 factions are released, I actually do have loads and loads of ideas for future factions, depending on how you guys respond to them. Pramaton First says he has his Kickstarter stuff and can easily live through another 5 lockdowns. Absolutely, so I'm looking forward to you painting up everything that you've bought. Because as we all know, we always paint up everything that we buy. Cat Race 2020. Lord Maiden says, oh, Cookie does that too. He wanted to go nuts during a meeting that I had this morning. I ended up playing with him and not laughing during it. Good evening, Robbie. Les says that he's nearly out of ArcWorlde stuff to paint. Now that is a terrible state of affairs. It's quite interesting though. So when I was doing the poll, like on the weekends, kind of asking you guys what you wanted to see, I didn't actually include a painting option because I have run out of ArcWorlde stuff to paint. So all the stuff that I made for the Kickstarter, for the 2nd edition Kickstarter, I have painted everything because I wanted it all to kind of look good on the web store and stuff like that. So I actually have to finish some sculpts before I think about doing another painting stream. Like I'm probably going to be doing a digital workshop painting stream for next week, because I have quite a bit of stuff to paint for that, but for ArcWorlde at least I am absolutely on track, which kind of feels a bit weird. Like as a wargamer, like I'm not used to having painted everything. Yeah. Yes, Goblin. Yes. Oh. Sorry for the camera shake, guys. Goblin's finally figured out that I'm on her live stream, so she's come to say hi. Very true, Dagfin. Rob Huntley saying, I need to square at the gaffer, but watch this space. Now, speaking as the gaffer, I'm quite excited to see what you've got in mind, old boy. Yeah, we'll be free, Dad. Yeah, we'll talk about it tomorrow. You're seeing it literally live, Arc fans. Big talks about what's coming next. Speaking of old stuff, through talking with some of the guys, like Dagvin involved, it turns out that this year, 2020, will mark the 10-year anniversary of Warplot Miniatures. 10 years. So I originally started I say company, but like I had the idea to sell my work, cast of my work, when I was 17 in 2010. So that means December the 17th, I believe, is the 10-year anniversary of Warplot Miniatures. Which is absolutely insane. Like, if you told me 10 years ago that I would not only still be doing this, but be doing this as my full-time job, I would not have believed you at all. And because of this, like, I would really want to do something special. Now, I don't know what's going to be happening in terms of the lockdown. Like, I'd love to have had like an IRL party where people could come to Nottingham and kind of have a bit of an event, kind of like an ArcWorlde weekend. But if we are still kind of under lock and key, like, I'm definitely up for ideas of how we can celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Warplot. Ten-year celebration. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. Robbie Bassano is saying 10th anniversary is a good milestone for this market these days. Thank you very much. Dagvin is saying a new big model. Interesting. Mr. Hardwick is saying a Blood Bowl tournament on Fumble. Big vote for new miniature ideas. Open up a Discord and have a paint and chat night on the conference call kind of thing. All very good ideas. Thank you very much. Mr. Huntley is asking I need to sculpt a giantess. Dagfin is suggesting a gaming stream. Roby is saying he's for giantess. For more in 10 years, wow, that's a big milestone. Perhaps it would be cool to get a special anniversary model for purchase. I think that's a very good idea indeed. We'll make a big ginormous battle, every Warplock miniature fighting it out. Wow, that is a big ask. Primiton, if no lockdown, then ArcWorlde pub tour. Now that sounds more up my street. Foreign, congrats to you and the company. Thank you very much. Mal is saying the Swamp Wyvern first. Tiny Magic, time for that big dragon. Now, which big dragon would you be talking about? David seconds the pub crawl. Man of taste. I appreciate that. Start the pit in knots. Oh, Mal, absolutely. I love the pit. Famorin is asking me what my favourite beer is. I'm not actually sure. Because there's so much to choose from out there. Like, I really try to not choose an absolute favourite because your favourite can change all the time. I did enjoy quite a few delicious German beers though when I came to visit a few years ago. I think it was 2015, perhaps 2016, when I came to visit Marcel for the second time. Was it the second time or was it the first time? I can't remember. Dagvin saying, we need to find a decent halfling-style pub. Absolutely, there's quite a few of those and not. Dad's saying, my grandma and I were only talking yesterday about how exciting the first Kickstarter was. For those who missed it, was epic. Absolutely. Like, I mean, that was the moment that my career really kicked off. So that'll always have a very special place in my heart. Bit of a stretch, but there's a great pub in Southampton called The Hobbit. Amazing. Might have to go and visit that one day. Once the lockdown's over, if you have a gaming club that I could come and visit, I'd be more than happy to come down for a few beers. Mr. Bassano is saying that he'd love to come, but he'd have to change country. Well, I'm sure there's quite a few interesting bars in Italy, surely. Zal McAllister, you need to come over again. Absolutely. Like, is that you, Marcel? Like, as I've not seen that username before in conjunction with you. Oh, sorry. Old. Jesus Christ, man. Is the RPG convention still going now? Do you guys I'm not even going to try and pronounce it properly. Brukenkopf still go? Lord Maiden, I would love to hold a Sunday event at my local club and invite you down. Absolutely. Where are you guys based? This is the part where you say, like, oh yeah, we're in the US, or oh yeah, we're in Australia, or somewhere like that. Wiltshire. Oh god, my geography is absolutely atrocious. Just a second. I need to look up where Wiltshire is. Oh, yeah, it's near Bristol-ish. no goblin. About 20-ish miles from Southampton. I'm sure I could get there on the, like, how easy is it to get on the train? Mr. Bassano is based in Piedmont, Italy. Is there much of a gaming scene there? Is it worth having an ArcWorlde trip over? Marcel is saying, nope, RPC is dead, replaced by CCXP, which flopped quite hard the first time it happened, but there's still Spiel and Tactica and other cons and trades fairs we attend. That's a bit of a shame. Like, I'd love to, I still really would like to go to Spiel, but I'm not sure whether it's going to be an option this year with the current situation. Lord Maiden says that it's easy. Club is a 2-minute walk from the local train station. Now, which town is this? Roby's saying, unfortunately, not that much of a reason to come over. I mean, there are a lot of 40k players, but there's 40k players everywhere. Dad's saying, I think the next show we'll do will be Vat Attack. Yeah, you're probably right. It would be easier for me to get on a train or a plane and come here. Well, absolutely, it would be. It would definitely be great to see you, especially if we do like a big kind of 10-year anniversary event. Lord Maiden saying it's in Salisbury. Like when I'm not on the stream, I'll check to see how easy it will be to get there. Ooh. Oh, hi Goblin. Hello. Hello, nice to see you. Do you want to be involved, Goblin? Yeah. Dagvin saying, fingers crossed for lifted travel vans in December and a big ArcWorlde weekend. Absolutely, that would really be wonderful. Mr. Bassano, next winter could be possible, job permitting. Absolutely, that would be great. Right, I think I need to pop this guy in the oven. Oak and Bronze is saying, definitely need a Hampshire-Wiltshire area ArcWorlde meet. Sounds like there's a few of us hereabouts. Well, once we can, travel. I mean, I'm absolutely up for that. I mean, for you guys around that particular area, where would you suggest would be the best place to meet that everybody in that area could, kind of come to? I don't mind if we meet in a pub or somewhere, or maybe hire out, a room in a kind of a more larger area where people are able to get to. Call me Roby Alex, don't make me feel too old. Is it Roby or is it Robbie? How would you prefer me to pronounce it? Oak and Bronze, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. When the club gets up and running in person, ArcWorlde is one of the games we will be playing. Well, that sounds excellent. Right, I'm just going to pop the Rougarou in the oven, guys. I'll be right back. The Fomorian is asking, how long does it usually take to get a sculpt done from scratch to finish until casting? Now this is a question that I'm quite regularly asked, and it's a question that I don't often really have an answer to. It entirely depends on so many different factors. The size of the model, the complexity of the model. Usually if I have a particular deadline looming, I tend to sculpt quite a bit faster when I know I've got, you know, a big event coming up. But also, I say one of the biggest things that makes a huge difference is if I'm genuinely enjoying making the miniature. Because there's a big difference between a model that I need to sculpt and a model that I want to sculpt. Now, if I genuinely want to sculpt a miniature and it's something that I've been looking forward to for a very long time and I feel rested and inspired, like I can finish a whole model in like a day, like not even really like putting up too much of a sweat. Like, but if it's a model that I have to sculpt or I feel like an obligation to sculpt, I can make that drag out for weeks and weeks and weeks. So it really is completely arbitrary. Like it really does just depend on how much I want that model to be done. Speaking of which, let's get cracking with the Imperial Ogre. Now, to kind of show the size difference between him and an Imperial Trooper, like he's a big boy. Robbie's friends and family called me that since he was little. My mother started that and she passed young, so I kept it that way. Well, in that case, you're going to be Robbie from now on. Speaking of sculpting, what happened to the mini you used a mini plastic fork as the armature? 2016, man, that's far too far away for me to even remember what I was doing. I mean, can you give me an idea of what it looked like? Like, was it kind of like an ogre face? If I remember correctly, or was that a chip fork? I can't remember. Hey all, good to see you, Wayne. Les, I'm back, working from Monday now. Well, that's the thing, I'm not sure whether to congratulate you or not. Like, do you want to go back to work? Are you happy to go back to work? The ogre bloke. Oh god, wasn't it a currywurst fork? If I remember correctly, a currywurst fork that we had at the RPG convention. Four children, yes I am. Excited to be back. Robbie's saying the ogre rifle is a hand cannon. Oh, absolutely. Like, I'm really looking forward to writing the rules for this guy. He's going to be fun. The new ogre is looking great. Thank you very much, Wayne. Have you had a proper look at him yet? Like, I know I did like a kind of a spin round at the start of the stream. But if anyone would like to kind of see any of the models again, please do let me know. Yes, so you nicked several for special purposes, absolutely. God, that was such a good trip. Yes, please. So here you go, Wayne. So here is the new Imperial Ogre. Like, he is very, very early on. Well, I say it very. I'd say he's about 60% done. So he's armed with a volley gun. Interesting fact, ladies and gentlemen, all the barrels for the Imperial weapons are actually made out of clothes hangers. Yep. I mean, I was originally going to buy some like specialist tubing and stuff to do all the barrels for the guns, but because of the current situation, it was impossible to try and get them delivered, so I used what I had in the house. So, yeah. It's not 3 barrels, it's 4. Good evening, Eddie. Nice to see you. This is my boomstick. What a cheesy film, but love it. Yeah, I mean, I prefer cheesy films, personally. Yes, I know about the model in the oven, Marcel. Like, I purposely made it very, very low temperature. The only reason why the last ones burned was because I left them in the oven, and then we put the oven on to start our dinner, and it just got fried. Although, to be fair, I saved every single one of those miniatures. I mean, yeah, things are looking a little browner than they would normally be looking, but they're still fully usable. We should watch Heavy Trip. It's fun and stupid, but in a good way. Sounds just up my street. There's a Rocky Horror Picture Show sequel. Is it any good? Dagfin is asking, with the current factions, and particularly older ones, do you find yourself stuck in a groove and hard to be creative? That is a very good question, and I guess I'm going to confidently say no. Because I think one of the benefits of having so many different factions in ArcWorlde is that you're not really stuck on working on one thing for too long. Because I think if you are stuck on working on like one very aesthetically like similar project for a very, very long time, you do find it you know, it's a bit dull, it can just get to you. Whereas all the factions in ArcWorlde are so unique and different to each other, it does mean that all I need to do to kind of switch things up a bit is, you know, sculpt a different character for a different warband, and then it kind of, let's say, resets the clock a little bit. Yes, Richard O'Brien as a TV Doctor. It wonderfully shows the rise and fall of TV stars, and it's great. I genuinely did not know there was a sequel to Rocky Horror Picture Show. Oh. Right. Pop this guy in the oven. Now, folks, question time. So this is something that I was really weighing up whether to do this for the Rougarou, but do you think that he should have a tail? Now, the tail is actually something added on quite late. Originally, it was just that, but I've kind of felt like the actual composition of the miniature was quite unbalanced, because obviously he's quite top heavy with like the long arms and like the big head and teeth and stuff like that, so I felt like I needed something balancing him out. But what do you think? Does it look good with a tail, or do you think that I should get rid of the tail and keep him like this? Tail is great, looks like a great counterweight, looks good to me. Give him additional tails. Keep the tail, keep the tail. I like the tail for the pose and movement of the model. Keep the tail. Cool, well in that case, I guess I'll start sculpting the tail now then. Because I kind of, I kept it quite basic in terms of the way that I'd made it, just so like, if I did decide down the line to be like, nah, I'm not really feeling it, I could just snap it off and not worry too much. Les says, keep the tail, but what is the spiny bit near the top of the tail? I mean, this thing here, it's just like a bit of fur, just to add a bit more movement to it. Mal says, add charms or bones in it for use in his spell casting. Well, like, I feel like he's got quite a lot of bones and stuff like that, like around his neck, so I feel like it's not really needed. And also, like, if you've got like stuff in your tail, it's not exactly easily accessible. Wayne says, if the pose was more weighted to the ground and less leaping, no tail would have worked. Nah, but that's not as exciting, is it? So for those of you guys who regularly join me on my Tuesday live streams, now last week I did a kind of a start to finish digital sculpt. Now, watching me doing traditional sculpting, obviously much slower, what do you find more entertaining? Watching me do traditional sculpts or watch me do digital sculpts? For Maureen, would it be funny if the shown wolf would have a non-mutated normal model as a standard version with the option in the game to mutate into the wolf? Now, that is an interesting point. However, the whole thing about the Rougarou in terms of the game is that you don't know, if you're playing against it, you don't know which character is going to transform into the Rougarou. So if you had a set model to kind of be the non-transformed version, it kind of gives away the surprise, doesn't it? That's really interesting, guys, and thank you very much for kind of commenting about it, that you guys find watching me do the traditional sculpts a lot more interesting. Because it's something that I am quite concerned about, because traditional sculpting does take a very, very long time, so I do worry that it's quite boring to watch. Whereas with the ZBrush stuff, I managed to sculpt essentially an entire miniature in 2 hours. So I felt there was much more to show. We watch paint dry and people think that's boring. Very good point. It's so funny how Dad is so excited to meet Goblin. So Dad is allergic to cats, which has meant that we were never allowed a cat as a kid, and I think I'm slightly allergic to cats myself, and it was one of the reasons why, when I was talking with my girlfriend about getting a pet, we decided on getting a Sphinx cat so that she was kind of she was hairless, or furless, should I say. And it was something that I was quite nervous about telling my parents because I knew how anti-cat they were. But it's just been so funny seeing how like excited Dad has been about meeting her. Like every time that we do like a video chat and stuff like that, he's like, "Oh, can I see Goblin? Can I see Goblin?" And she's very excited to meet her granddad, definitely. Ooh. Just a second. She'll probably sink her claws into me the first time I meet her and my skin will just blow up. No, she's very, very gentle, Dad. I mean, she just get a little bit playful and she might nibble your feet a little bit. She loves feet. She always goes for toes. Dwarves, Eddie. Dwarves. Although, interestingly enough, I did a poll on my digital sculpting Patreon to kind of gauge what people would want to see me make next. And dwarves are, I think, I haven't checked it in a few hours, but last time I checked, dwarves were the winner. So I may be sculpting some dwarves very soon if you guys are interested. Dwarves are a poor man's halfling. Dagfin's asking, this tune sounds very familiar. Is it from the film or a TV series, perhaps? The previous one, I can't remember the previous one. I mean, to be honest, I'm not really paying much attention to the music. And it sounds, I mean, it does make a big difference having music, like, with these streams. Like, I know in the original streams where it was just silence, I did feel a little bit kind of, oh, people are going to get bored with this and stuff, so. Robbie's saying, dwarves, maybe. I would like to see vampires first. Or maybe vampire dwarves. Well, the vampire's definitely coming for ArcWorlde soon. In terms of the Patreon, I'm not sure. Have to see what because the big thing about the Patreon is that the patrons do get a say in what is made. So if those guys fancy doing vampires, then I will happily acquiesce. Skelly dwarves. Mal, shh, stop it. You're giving all my ideas away. Can't wait to see trolls on the Patreon, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to working on some bigger creatures. Koala men or dishonor. Boomerang throwing koalas for the beast folk. Ooh, maybe. Les is asking, perhaps further along in the ArcWorlde development, Samurai Dwarves. Well, I am actually planning on doing an Eastern expansion at some point. It's always difficult to know how well these things will do, because obviously the market is very Eurocentric in terms of, you know, aesthetics with fantasy. And I do have, obviously, ArcWorlde is a very, very big place with lots and lots of countries, lots of kind of cultures and things like that. And I would obviously love to do sculpts of as many of them as possible, but I do worry that there will be some that are based on certain cultures, earth cultures, that wouldn't sell as well. And yeah, like, if I was just doing this as a hobby, I would love to kind of explore every corner, but seeing as I am, yeah, this is my job, this is my business, I do have to consider, you know, what will sell when I do make new factions, new characters and stuff like that. So it's something that I'm going to have to carefully explore over the next few years. So there's a chance for Dwarabian Nights, more like ArcRabian Nights. Oak and Bronze, Bhutan is called the Land of the Thunder Dragon, so dragons. Ooh. How about how about kangaroos as a new heavy for beast folk? I have no idea where my Aussie themed beast folk ideas come from. Well, there is going to be a not Australian themed expansion in the future. Now, obviously, this is very much dependent on if there is a need for it, but it's been an idea that I've had for at least 5 years. But once again, it very much is dependent on whether or not the community would engage with it, would buy the models, but kind of imagine like a Weird West mixture of kind of Australia kind of Wild West vibes. It would be weird. It would be weird as hell. One of my ideas for it is a marsupial troll, if you can imagine that, but it depends on whether or not the community would be up for that kind of thing. I actually came up with a logo for that expansion. If you guys are interested in seeing it, if you'd like to see it, drop in a comment on the chat. I would say, if six of you say yes, Alex, I would like to see the logo for the Australian style expansion for ArcWorlde, I'll put it up. Yes, give us the logo. 1. Hell yeah, Alex, let's see it. 2. Yes. 3. Yes. 4. Yes. 5. Yes. 6. Yes, please. Oh, very good. Very good. There we go. So this was made quite a while ago. When I say quite a while ago, I mean, look, coming 2018. But it's something that I really, really would like to do. Thank you very much, gang. Miles asking, was that the follow-on from Tribbles in the North? It actually was. So the plan was, before I decided to do a second edition of the game, if you read the Tribbles in the North book, the end of it, in terms of the lore, does result in the explorer being transported to the kind of the ArcWorlde version of the Wild West / Australia, which is called Bonzaland. But in the end, I decided to focus my energies on getting second edition out there. But this is coming eventually. Hang on, there we go. Hide the 2018 bit. Yeah, 2018 was the original plan for it, but obviously it's going to take a little bit longer than that. But it is going to be like very much like a Wild West kind of expansion, like very much like cowboys and stuff like that. But it is very much determined on whether or not you guys would want this expansion over others. Like, I have 12 factions planned, but I have another 10 factions, or at least ideas for factions to come in the future. But I think one of the things that I will do once the 12 factions have been released is I'm probably going to do a release where I do like swords for hire of a character from each of the future expansions I have ideas for, future factions I have ideas for. So I can kind of gauge the kind of the feelings towards the ideas. So I'll sculpt one character from each faction. Can I maybe do like a mini Kickstarter, like a week or something, just like a kind of a swords for hire Kickstarter. So a chance for you guys to add characters to your collections, and the ones that do the best in terms of sales, I'll probably follow up with expansions in the future. No Dagfin, no cowboy halflings. Well, it's good to see that you guys seem to be up for it. Like this expansion, I think would be one of my more riskier ones in terms of, you know, sales and things. Because, like as I was saying before, like I do have loads and loads of ideas for factions and expansions for ArcWorlde, but I do have to kind of tone it back a tad with, you know, what would actually sell, what would people would like, and as I was saying before, like I think this kind of mini Kickstarter with characters from all of the kind of the proposed factions would be really, really good to kind of see what you guys connect with, if you guys have any more ideas for stuff. Because ArcWorlde is like a whole world. Like, all of the factions that I've been looking at so far only take place in a tiny, tiny little corner of it. Like, there is so much more scope to expand. You know, I could release 3 factions a year and carry on for 10 years, if not more. So, but I don't know which of my ideas are good, or, you know, one of the big things about this job is rule of cut. Like, am I doing this just because it's cool, or am I doing this because it actually would, you know, connect with the audience? Dagvin saying, sounds like you need to do some research once you can travel. That is, absolutely. Mal, would be a great idea to expand your shop area Swords for Hire as well. No, absolutely. Like, Swords for Hire is essentially a way for me to just release random characters and stuff that I really like the idea of, and like perhaps there are certain factions that wouldn't suit a whole miniatures line, but maybe 1 or 2 characters would go really, really well. Robbie Bassano, Western Mood 2021 Kickstarter. Oh, I wish. Jacko saying a faction based in the sea would be Bonza, sharks, octopus, lobsters, etc. That is actually quite a good idea, actually. Kind of like an Atlantis kind of thing. The Ever Maiden is just awesome, by the way. Well, like she's a character that I really, really like. I actually got the idea of her on a visit to Denmark that I did in 2016. I visited my friend Jonas, and he took me to like a kind of a Danish, it wasn't a theme park, but it was like a kind of a historical site where they had people dressed as various peoples from throughout Danish history, and one of the things that we saw was like a sacred bog where people would, like thousands of years ago, would throw sacrificial like people into this bog as gifts to the gods. So that was one of the reasons why I did the Ever Maiden as a character, because I imagined her as this kind of this bog maiden, like someone who had been like a princess, or someone who had been thrown into the bog as like a sacrifice to the gods. And I just really thought that was such a cool concept. Oak and Bronze, was that near Aarhus? Possibly? Plus, like, I can't remember exactly where it was, but I can't remember the town that Jonas lives in. But I believe it's on the same kind of bit of land as Copenhagen. I think. Like Jonas, if you are watching, please do kind of jump in and correct me. Robbie, Alex, you can have a sculpting schedule forever. Ugh, like, don't even say like I actually do. Merfolk would tie in nicely with the original Pirate Undead. I mean, that is very, very true. But this is an ArcWorlde fact for you guys out there. The original Undead Pirates were the worst selling faction out of all of the original factions for ArcWorlde, like by a long shot. Which I was quite surprised about, because I thought that, you know, Undead's cool, Pirates are quite cool, but nope, you guys just didn't like the Undead Pirates at all. Dagfin, yep, that's where Jonas lives, but Aarhus is on the other part. Ah, okay. Let's see where it was. Yeah, literally, like, they were really, really unpopular. Mal, get the rum flowing, Alex. Grab thy notepad and pick my brains of ideas. Get sketchy for the grave troll. Like, the grave troll actually is something that I really, really want to make. Like, I really like the concept of that. Hang on, folks, I'm just scrolling back through my Instagram page to see where the place was. Oh, I didn't tag it. Sounds like you are talking about the Grauballerman, the bog body. Yeah, potentially. Like, there seems to be quite a lot of instances of this kind of bog person. Speaking of trolls, a marsupial troll based on Diprotodon. Yes or no? Diprotodon. Let's have a look at this. Oh, cool. Actually, Marcel, it would look quite a lot like that. Most Garden Museum. Sorry, I'm just you sent me off one now. Like, I can't remember where it was, but it was like it was very much like an open like park where you could kind of walk around, and there was like lots of examples of Denmark throughout the ages. Like they had some kind of reconstituted aurochs cows, and there were some people who were like making stone tools, and like there was like a spear throwing range. Like that's all I can remember. It was quite a while ago. Dagfin, oh shoot! I'm painting the Crimson Fellowship and discover that the captain has a crooked pistol barrel. Any tips on how to fix it without having to boil the mini? Well, you don't have to boil the whole mini, Dagfin. You could just pour a little bit of water, of boiling water, into a cup and just dunk the tip of the barrel in, and you wouldn't have to submerge the whole miniature. Mal is asking, so what is the wooden bit on the ogre supposed to be? So if you can see, it's going to be kind of like a hand axe kind of thing. So not only is it kind of themed to the character, but it also adds a little bit of support because it's quite a lot of weight just to kind of fit on those two ankles. So I decided to put that in just to keep it a little bit more stable. Damn, I lost a bet. The wife guessed axe Arrant club. Well, like a club would be very stereotypically ogreish, whereas my ogres are civilized ogres. Jacko's asking, with the exception of halflings, which are the most popular faction? Now the only numbers I can really go off are the ones from the last kind of big first edition Kickstarter, which was Troubles in the North, and I believe it was pretty much a draw between halflings and Albionicans, who are like the Imperials in second edition. So I'm quite interested in seeing about how well the Imperial faction will do in the next expansion, because they're one of my personal favourites. So it's something that I'm really looking forward to sculpting and exploring. But the Beast Folk did very well in the second edition Kickstarter. Note to all, the halfling on the forest dragon is a picked paint. The dragon gets in the way. Yeah, I can imagine he does. Lord Maiden, I just noted the rabbits in the that Rabintood is holding look similar to the ones in the Wallace and Gromit film. Yeah, I guess they do. Right, folks, I honestly can't believe it has been 2 hours, but we are pretty much at the end of the stream already. So, thank you very much for joining me for the past 2 hours. Hope you enjoyed it. It's been a bit of a chilled one this time. But if you have any questions for me in the next 2 minutes before we log off, I will be more than happy to answer them. The Dragon, the Arcanid Queen was very popular, kept me out of mischief anyway, absolutely. Stay at home, stay in quarantine, Dad. Mal says, flown by, really enjoyed it, stay safe, gang. Lord Maiden, thank you very much, hope you have a good week. You too, buddy. Les Fulbrook, that was great, thanks. Oak and Bronze, almost finished the Halfling Monster Hunter in the 2 hours. Lovely figure to paint, thank you very much. Rob Huntley, stay safe, everyone. Lord Maiden, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Good night, guys, from Robbie. Thanks for the company. Well, once again, thank you. A big thank you to all of you who joined me for the stream tonight. I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you do have any questions, make sure that you follow us at www.facebook.com/WarplotMiniatures. The website is warplotminiatures.com, and if you do fancy some of the digital files, if you have a 3D printer at home, if you do want to print off some of my stuff, I have a Patreon where I will be putting a lot of my digital sculpts. That is www.patreon.com/warplotminiatures. Now, if you do have any questions, comment on the stream. Like, this stream will be going on Facebook, on YouTube, pretty much immediately after this finishes. So thank you very, very much for joining us, and I will see you here same time again next week. Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and see you next week. Thank you very much.